All right, conduct of business, item 10A, receive oral report on the 4th of July fireworks activities.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Deputy Chief Dave Downing and I are here to provide you with a report on the 4th of July activities in San Bruno. In 2005, the voters passed Measure G, allowing the sale and use of safe and sane fireworks in San Bruno. Allowing safe and sane fireworks increases the volume of activity for police and fire on the 4th of July and the days leading up to the holiday, as the use of safe and sane fireworks is often intermingled with the use of illegal fireworks. The use of illegal fireworks and the misuse of safe and sane fireworks pose a risk to safety. Because of this risk, each year since the measure passed, the police and fire departments present to the City Council our best efforts at an education and enforcement plan. This plan is designed to prevent injury to persons, to protect property from damage, to curb the use of illegal fireworks, and to ensure that safe and sane fireworks are used in a safe manner. Deputy Chief Dave Downing will give you our education portion of this year's campaign. This year, over the 8-day reporting period from June 28th to July 5th, we had 128 reports of firework violations. Last year, we had 111 calls during the same time frame. This increase is likely due to an increase in July 5th. Last year, we had 4 calls. This year, we had 11. During the 4th of July, we had 88 firework-related calls this year. Last year, we had 89. Our pre-enforcement efforts included contacting those neighborhoods where we had previously received complaints of illegal firework use. Officers visited over 150 homes and apartments and advised the residents of our enforcement policy and to call us when they observe violations. We also deployed patrols prior to and after the 4th of July to specifically look for individuals using illegal fireworks. On the 4th of July, all police personnel were brought into work with the exception of those already scheduled on a vacation. We also brought in officers from other jurisdictions to assist us during the peak hours of activity. We had 63 personnel working the evening of the 4th. This included myself, the command staff, officers, supervisors, dispatchers, call takers, community service officers, and the officers from the allied agencies. We had staff assigned to our regular patrol to handle our normal routine calls for service, and we had staff assigned to strictly handle enforcement in areas that we had violations in previous years, and teams were assigned to those areas. On July 4th, we had 178 calls for service. So to put this in perspective, on a normal routine weekday, we average anywhere from 70 to 80 calls for service. On July 4th, we handled 109 calls for service during a 4-hour window from 8 p.m. to midnight. That 4-hour window is a typical peak level of activity on the 4th of July. Over the enforcement period, officers issued 8 citations for dangerous firework violations. 7 citations were issued on the 4th, and 1 citation was issued on July 5th. Officers encountered situations where the illegal use was mixed with safe and sane, making it difficult to determine violators. It was especially difficult because you knew illegal activity and illegal fireworks were going off, but by the time you got up there, you couldn't see anybody around it. Officers confiscated an estimated 61 pounds of dangerous fireworks. Illegal firework violations were observed throughout the city, and there was no geographic region where their use was more prevalent than others. We did arrest 1 subject for discharging a firearm, and we arrested another individual for causing a fire through the use of illegal fireworks. So based on our calls for service, the level of activity experienced from officers out in the field, the amount of fireworks that we confiscated, they were all pretty much comparable to last year. Again, we think the slight increase was due to the holiday falling on a Thursday, and Friday there was more activity. What we've experienced over the years is we have had a decline up until this year, a slight increase this year. We are going to be coming in to the weekend over the coming years, so we anticipate the activity may grow. While the final numbers are still being calculated, preliminary estimates for the 2013 Education and Enforcement Campaign appear to be within the projections provided to you back in May. The costs associated with the Education and Enforcement Campaign will be the actual cost attributed to the resources that we deployed over the 4th of July campaign. That includes fire, public works, cable TV, everything inclusive of enforcement and education. This effort is above and beyond what we normally do on a day-to-day basis. The amount is passed on to the community organizations who benefit from the sale of safe and sane fireworks, and this allows the city to be reimbursed for our expenses. And I'll now turn it over to Deputy Chief Dave Downing for the prevention presentation.
Honorable Mayor and council members, I'll give you a report based upon what happened in regards to fire. First of all, we met initially with community groups and the vendors to go over the safety regulations prior to the 4th of July. Part of our public education campaign was to do a focus article. We had cable television PSAs, educational materials also sent to the schools, and we had a lot of postings throughout the city to hopefully deter illegal fireworks. During the time of sales from the 28th to the 4th, we had daily inspections of the 18 booths by Fire Marshal Jim Allen and the engine companies. And on the 4th, we had extra staffing. We staffed an additional engine that was dedicated strictly to San Bruno. We also had 3 extra chief officers, Deputy Chief McWhorter from Millbrae, and also Battalion Chief Jim Allen and myself. And then just prior to the evening where everything started, we patrolled the streets and the engines as well as the battalions. Overall, it wasn't a huge amount of calls. There was 13 calls, emergency calls, 4 of them medical. 9 calls were related to fireworks. We had 2 small fires. One was in front of a yard on Genevieve. Another was a small fire, fence fire on Earl. Engine 52 had a significant grass fire in South City that they helped out with. And other than that, there was just a few debris and grass fires, a couple of dumpster fires. A total of 61 pounds of illegal fireworks were packaged for disposal, which will be done through the Sheriff's office later in the month. That pretty much wraps up our report for fire. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions of our chiefs? Michael?
Thank you. I'm curious, how did the number of citations or the amount of criminal activity in San Bruno compare to the neighboring communities?
So we did check with Pacifica Police Department. They did see an increase in the number of violators and an increase in the number of administrative citations written this year, but their area was confined to the beach. So what they did is they allowed fireworks on the beach. However, there were more restrictions in the residential areas. And speaking with the police department today, they found that those residential areas were more difficult, similar to what we find. We find that we've been doing this for a while. People start to light the fireworks and run away, or they light them in their backyard, and it's more difficult to apprehend.
And also, did we receive any complaints from neighboring communities about fireworks purchased in San Bruno being used in other jurisdictions where they're not allowed?
I did not receive any complaints, but you are correct, because Pacifica and San Bruno are the only 2 cities that do sell fireworks, and we have had complaints in previous years.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Rico?
Very quickly, I did go to the briefing at the police department with all the personnel that were on duty, and it was appreciated. Again, I know our staff is mandatory to be there unless they're on a full week's vacation, so I do appreciate their assistance and willingness, one way or the other, to help out the community and to get us through, another year, and hope that continues. I also, to Chief Telford, who tolerated me for a couple hours in the car with him that night as we did a drive around. And I had talked to some of the residents since that just to try to get a gauge on what their thoughts were. But needless to say, I did want to thank both the police and fire personnel for their work, their effort, and being here to help keep the community safe.
Thank you, Chiefs. Thank you very much.